Hey you guys! So this video is about an alpha widow, and I must admit, I have no clue what that is. Thank you, Philosophy Junkie, for forwarding a link to a video. And as a side note, I had to change the settings for approving my YouTube comments, so now I will be able to, your comments with links to videos will now be accepted. When I accept those comments, they just disappear. So that's what was happening. I watched the video and I listened to the gentleman talk about alpha widows, and I listened for 5 minutes and I still had no idea what an alpha widow is. So I started going through the comments and I read like 10 or 15 of them, and I still don't know what an alpha widow is. It seemed to me like the commenters were talking about some woman who lost interest in them or wasn't really ever into them. And I would say that that can happen to a man or a woman, that you get into a relationship with someone and then you lose interest or you lose attraction. Or maybe you never really had the attraction. Maybe this woman is getting together with you because you're really nice. She really wants to get married. She really wants to have children or whatever. Um, but the fact that she's pining more, or the fact that a woman is still pining over her ex, if there's a woman still pining over her ex or a man still pining over his ex, because it can go both ways, those people aren't ready to date. So if you're on a date with someone and they're still talking about their ex, I wouldn't date that person. Now, when men talk about alpha widow, I think they're saying a woman who isn't over her ex because the sex was so fabulous. It's a sexual term, I think, that men have it in their imagination. Men are very competitive with their penises and their sexuality. And so they're imagining, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, you're imagining that every woman has a man who just fucked her so amazingly well that she can never get him out of her head and no man can ever compete. And that's a myth. And I'll tell you why that's a myth. Number one, in my experience with being with women, and I'm sure there are exceptions, how much a woman enjoys sex with a man has to do with how she feels about him, mostly. Okay? There are things a guy can do or not do, but mostly how she feels about him. Okay? It doesn't mean that he has any special prowess. It's how she feels about him. So you want to be with a woman who feels about you that she's very attracted to you and she really likes sex with you and she really enjoys it. You want to look for that. For a woman, the how much she enjoys sex is mostly having to do with how she feels about you. And then also, what kind of man you are, if you pay attention to her pleasure, you're not a people pleaser, whatever other factors. But I've had sex with thousands of men, and I'm not an alpha widow with any of them. I'm not an alpha widow with any of them. I don't want any of them. Uh, and some of the guys that were really good in bed were just players. I don't want to date them because a man is a whole package. He isn't just a penis. Now, guys can have the same thing. They will have a woman that they still pine after, usually their first girlfriend in high school. But it could be the first girl that broke their heart. They will pine after her. So then the guy is an alpha widow. The guy is an alpha widow um, because he's still emotionally involved with her. And to me, as a woman, that's very disturbing. If I know I'm dating a guy who's still pining over his ex wife, his girlfriend from high school, or his dead son that was killed in a car crash, I don't really want to be with that guy. I don't want to compete with all that's baggage that has not been cleared away. See, a healthy person does this. Heartbreak hurts, okay? We've all had our hearts broken. Hopefully, you guys have all been in a relationship and we've all had our hearts broken. And then what we have to do, we have to rediscover ourselves, reinvent ourselves, and move forward with new life. And that's what creates really powerful people who are very present and full of aliveness and a joy to be around. But the moment I'm carrying around a grudge from my ex, or, crying over my ex, I'm not ready to date. And that has nothing to do with his cock. It just has to do with the fact that I haven't done my healing work. And that applies to men as well. So I think the more proper way that I would define an alpha widow or widower is someone who isn't over their past relationship and is still daydreaming about their past relationship. And I wouldn't want to date a person like that. As to me personally, I'm not an alpha widow. I don't want to be with any of the people I've had sex with or was in a relationship with. I don't want any of them. I think that we all have to look forward and create something new from the present moment. And I'm a much better person now than I was then. And any relationship I have and any sexual relationship I have is going to be even better than anything I ever had because I'm better. It's not just up to the man to make great sex or make a great relationship. It's about me. Who am I being? Do I have good boundaries? Do I love myself so I am embodied, present with myself instead of holding you responsible for my feelings or my finances or my moods or caretaking me or me caretaking you? You know, um, I'm an adult. I am a solid core person. I'm a more well-developed person now than I ever was. I'm in a much better place to be in a relationship than I ever was. I've learned so much more. I've conquered so much more. And I've let go a lot of my baggage. And I'll tell you, it took me a long time to let go of my baggage. And it wasn't because my ex was so great in bed and I'm alpha widow. It's because I was fucking pissed off at him. I was pissed off at him for years because, and I made a lot of videos complaining about him. And I only recently, in the last 6 months, probably let that go. That I had to stop living in the past, being angry and feeling sorry for myself for what he didn't give me in that marriage, emotionally and sexually, by the way, and leaving that behind and having new thoughts and looking to the future and being in this moment. And I had to stop being addicted to my past, addicted to feeling sorry for myself. And that's the journey we all have to take when we end a relationship, you guys. Wake up. If you're still pining over your ex and it's been a year, you need to wake up and do your healing work, however you have to do it, and stop thinking about the past and move into the future. Who do I want to be now? What is the next indicated step? And focus on yourself and feeling whole. And once you feel whole and that you're the prize and not needy, then you can go out and start dating. I don't get this whole alpha widow thing as if, every woman has this, fantasy about all the guys she wanted to fuck. You guys are the ones with the fantasies. You guys are the ones getting hard-ons all day long for these different women. You guys are the ones often watching porn. You guys are the ones fantasizing all the time about sex. But is your wife supposed to get jealous every time you get a hard-on for the girl that walks by? We need to be adults here, but the most important thing, guys, I believe, is that a woman has to love you for you and be attracted to you and desire you. And I think that you just have to know whether you're a priority or whether she's just picking you because she has no better options. That's up to you to discover. But I don't believe in this thing of every woman is just pining after some guy she doesn't have. But ladies, drop that in the comments. Are any of you still pining after some guy you don't have anymore? I would say that there are women in trauma-bonded relationships. They go for these guys who treat them badly. They keep desiring these guys that treat them badly. If there's any woman that you meet that is still pining over her ex, my question would be, if he's that great, why aren't you with him? And if he left you, why are you pining after a guy who doesn't want you anymore? Like, there's something off. She needs therapy. But it's not a quality of women. I don't relate to that. None of my friends are pining after their ex. They're just glad it's over. We get excited about the guy that we meet, and it has to do with how we feel about him. And I'm very curious about this Alpha Widow thing. I think I nailed it, but I don't know. Let me know. The myth of the Alpha Widow. I think it's an urban legend.